One.
Hey!
Hey!
You did that entirely wrong.
Then you're gonna have to cut this out because the reason is, Rick, is that it changes. It just spins. You've done this. It just spins, and then it says,
Okay.
"Now we're live." So I can't time it out perfectly. Anyway, at least it all started. So there we are. Good evening, everyone. This is Derek McCaw, editor-in-chief of fanboyplanet.com, and welcome to the Fanboy Planet podcast. We have special guests tonight. If you followed us on Twitter and Facebook, you saw that we were going to speak with Michael Rabehl, program director of Cinequest, for our annual Rabehl cast, as I call it, talking about what's coming up in 2022. But we have a special guest with us tonight. It was a surprise to me. It was awesome. It's so great to see you. Emily Goss. Emily, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for bringing me along, Michael.
And there you are. She's in the back of a Hollywood limo, and as is appropriate. Yep, there we go. And of course, I should say, trying to orchestrate this all and rapidly losing control from the Brett Cave.
There was never any control. I'm Rick Brett Snyder.
Exactly. So before we begin, of course, I because we're talking about Cinequest, I don't think we'll be talking much about books, but if there's something that we do mention that you'd like to purchase for your very own and you cannot find it at your local brick and mortar store, we are an Amazon affiliate, so any purchase you may make through a link on Fanboy Planet may result in revenue for us. And of course, if you'd like to join in the conversation, one, this is a live podcast, live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. So if you are joining and watching and have any comments or questions throughout, please do that. But you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fanboy Planet. Or you can, if you have any questions, comments, compliments, commentary, criticism, write into editor@fanboyplanet.com. I think I rushed through that, but on purpose because I know we're going to have a lot to talk about with Cinequest. So, Michael, I understand that you've programmed a film featuring someone, not just featuring, written, directed, and starring. It's a short film, right? Written, directed, and starring Miss Goss, and who we have talked to many years ago for a horror film called The House on Pine Street. And this is now A Little House in Aberdeen.
That's so funny.
Okay.
Yeah, A Little House in Aberdeen. I didn't really realize.
A Little House on Pine Street is where I'm going with it. But no, it's a very different kind of film. And for one thing, to me, I'll say it's kind of a bit of a horror film about the horror of what's actually happening in our country right now. So probably not as purposely or maybe timely as it has turned out to be. So, Emily, I'll let you speak about your short. And hang on here. And let's give you the full...
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, so I wrote, directed, produced, and acted in a 7-minute short film, which is about a woman who's reflecting on her past and wondering about her future while she happens to be having an abortion. And the film takes place during the procedure. It's shot in one take. And the film is essentially a nervous stream of consciousness. And my goal with the film is to normalize abortion and humanize the people who have them. And so this film is not about the how she or the why she. It's about who she is and affirms that people are more than their abortions and that sometimes an abortion is not a big deal. This film is a very simple slice of life to just bring us into this character's world, and then it ends.
It's interesting to say one take, so why make that choice with the script?
For several reasons. Because the film takes place during the procedure, I wanted to demystify an in-clinic abortion. The abortion procedure that my character is getting is called a manual vacuum aspiration, and it takes between 5 and 10 minutes. Most abortions take that brief amount of time. And so by shooting it all in one take, there's no passage of time. There's no sleight of hand. And also, the audience is forced to be in that room, and maybe they would rather not be in that room, but I don't let them look away. And I prove that there's really nothing horrific about the procedure. Sometimes when we think about abortions, we think about medieval instruments, and but an abortion is a very routine procedure, and so that's something that can be best highlighted by a winner. But also, like, keeping the tension taut was also really important to me. Not letting the tension escape with a cut.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think as you're saying that, people on either side, I'll grant people that read the site or watch are probably on both sides of the issue, and yet most of us who have an opinion have no idea what actually happens. It's become this very big buzzword, and so fascinating thing. How was it directing yourself? Were you a stubborn actor?
What I loved most about directing was working with my crew. I feel like I have always thought like a director, and I have always loved to work with the camera, specifically when I'm acting, and so it was a natural transition, and also because the film is all in one take, the performance is the directing, is the editing. My timing and my interaction with the camera, and I was always keeping the camera in my sights and responding to what it was doing, that was the best way I could direct the film. So it was a really challenging but fun and fulfilling experience.
Cool. And I was thinking about the one single take is the last time I actually saw you was you were doing stage work, and you're doing stage work in the place in the United States where it's like, we're not really known for our stage work here. It was in Los Angeles, Atwater Village, I think. Great stuff. So I mean, you are a stage actor as well as film and television. So was that influencing too for that writing a monologue as an actor? You're kind of like, oh yes, this is a fantastic piece.
Definitely. My comfort with long minutes of text, was invaluable. But the monologue actually came from a challenge that a TV and film casting director put out in the spring of 2020. And she said, actors, here's a prompt, and write a 1-minute monologue that starts with the sentence, "Oh, I'm sorry." And the other prompt was, "Oh, it's you." So I chose, "Oh, I'm sorry," to be the first line of my monologue. I wrote the 1-minute monologue for this challenge, and then many months later was flabbergasted when my monologue became a finalist in this competition. And that just validated me, that showed me that there was something there. And the 1-minute monologue is essentially the first minute of my film. So when I decided to turn it into a film, I just expanded it. But yeah, it kind of came about naturally.
And not having seen it yet, but I know that Michael will be sending me a list of links to things in the next couple of weeks. What you shot this obviously then during the pandemic, and I don't know how many people are in and out of that room. I mean, probably not many, but still, what were the challenges you had in filming during a lockdown?
Yeah. This was a union project. We used the SAG-AFTRA short project agreement, and so it gets more expensive because of COVID testing. But it was a 1-day shoot and a very, very small crew, because it is only 3 people in a room who are more or less stationary the entire time. So actually, as far as COVID projects go, this was a pretty good one, because we were able to do it with only a skeleton crew.
Cool. And once again, that is A Little House in Aberdeen. Rick, you have a question?
Yeah, Emily. I had also not seen the film, of course. And Michael slacking, but
totally.
The smile. He's not saying no. But reading the description of the film, the last line of the description on the Cinequest site is, "This film is only available to watch in the USA." Now, I understand that from a licensing point of view, but it made me think: are there parts of the USA where you would be worried about the reception of this film, given current events and
really good question. I want to share this film with people who believe with people who have different opinions about abortion. I believe in bringing everyone to the table, and I think by not focusing on the politics of the procedure, but rather focusing on the person, that this film can appeal to many people. And so I hope I get the opportunity to share this film with people who would not seek it out. And I think that's one of the beauties of film festivals, is that there's a huge audience of people to watch these films, and so I'm excited to see who finds the film.
I hope you're very correct. I would hope as much.
And this will be streaming, I believe, starting April 1st through the 16th, right? Because the 17th is through Easter Sunday. Okay. And this, as I said, it is streaming. My understanding is this is still a virtual Cinejoy, as you called it last year, right?
It is. But Emily will be here in August, too, for the in-person, so.
Good. That's where I was getting to. There is an in-person event, and, well, that is excellent. So, looking forward to the film, Emily, and I do understand if you are at your premiere or whatever it is that no, I know. If you need to leave, we understand, but of course you are always welcome to stay. And as we talk through Michael Rabehl and what else is happening at Cinequest, but we look forward to seeing your film. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to interact with you guys virtually in April, and I hope to see you all in person in August.
Really looking forward to August.
Yes, indeed. So, Michael, tell us about it. Tell us about this Cinejoy that you are experiencing. Good night, Emily.
I'm still calling Cinequest, just so you know.
Okay. Well, because you're the king of branding. You didn't even retweet the tweet saying you were going to be on this show. You do not brand well. So let's go with it. Cinequest.
I don't retweet anything.
You're the social media manager for Cinequest, aren't you? So.
No, I'm not. I'm the programming director. I don't like. I put together like films with Chris Garcia, and that's it. So for me, like my job is done at the point where we lock the program. I am not about necessarily branding, but I do want to support the films, and I do want to support Cinequest, of course. And I'm trying to find a way to say that I'm not your whore, Derek.
Newsflash.
Yeah, we all know that's not true and true at the same time. I don't understand. I've got text messages, sir, that say otherwise. But anyway.
Oh, God damn it.
So what's up this year? I really you teased me today and said, like, there's this link, there's this website that says all the films. But it's no offense to anybody at Cinequest. I have not had time to focus on it, but was very excited that it was announced and that you wanted to come on again and speak. So what is, first of all, as always, we've got to ask what are the kind of the Fanboy Planet direct audience appealing films?
Well, of course, and I have them up on my side screen here. One of the films I really wanted to talk about was Dash. It's having its world premiere at Cinequest. And it's this really cool film about he's a
rideshare driver.
I'm trying to figure out the way
they've done a rideshare film a couple of years ago. There was a murder mystery or suspense film with that. Yeah,
well, Dash it's a dash cam film, so it's all in one take. And it's a dash cam film for basically an Uber driver. Okay. And it ends up to be this weird, odd murder mystery in a one-take film. And so I don't want to say too much about it because I've been giving too much away. But what I really like about this film, it's having its world premiere at Cinequest, and it is a film that I feel captivates in a very unique way. Because, like I said, it's one take, and they're trying to. They basically went through a lot of rehearsals. You could tell it with the film.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, to choreograph it in such a way where it's like it becomes compelling, and that's one of my favorites this year. It's because it's so original and so unique. There's a lot of films in the festival that are very original and unique, but that one in particular, because it's one take, and it feels like a one take film, as opposed to films that claim they're one take and actually aren't, because you can tell
those little stitches. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Michael,
yeah,
this film is in your you've done this division of your films into emotional states.
Yeah,
and this is in thrill.
It is.
But so where was the breakthrough for getting the films into divided not by genre, but you do by genre, but also by emotional experiences? Like, I'm looking for a inspirational film, I'm looking for a comedy. But you're like Good Times and Dazzlers too. I mean,
and is there abject depression?
Yeah. The emotional the emotional breakdown comes from how we have seen over the years how films break down in a lot of the submissions. So we kind of play with that as we put them into categories like that. I don't program that way, or the team doesn't program that way, but that's how some of the films break down. So the Dazzlers and I don't remember the other categories right now, but the Dazzlers.
No, that's branding. We understand now. You've established you don't know that, so that's fine.
Yeah. So, so my breakdown is more in the thrills and the life and all that stuff, and so we don't have the necessarily what you're asking the question. We don't necessarily have that breakdown ahead of time. How about that?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So we've got Dash would be one. Anything that you would qualify as a midnight movie, which you can watch anytime now.
Well, Dash is actually a midnight movie, but The Family is another one. It's a horror film that basically has a twist that I don't want to talk about, but it has a twist. So The Family is more of a midnight film because it's a horror film / psychological thriller / slasher film.
Okay, we'll take that. All right.
And then, excuse me, Wolves is a serial killer film.
I wondered. That was one I did see the description of. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one that's more of a serial killer film, where somebody who is a fanatic for tracking these true crime stories, and then he finds one that he wants to get involved in and ends up tracking the killer down.
Okay, intriguing.
And so that's called Wolves. So Dash, Wolves, and The Family are the three I talked about, are more midnight movies.
Okay.
Some more movies that are geared towards that crowd are The Day I Found a Girl in the Trash, which is a Polish film, which is very much in the vein of Blade Runner, where it's an artificial intelligence who has been discarded, but a man finds her in the trash. Basically, she's been discarded and sees her worth and her value and wants to bring her back to the world and make her part of his life. And he ends up falling in love with her, of course. So it's a very interesting movie, and it's so atmospheric and Blade Runner-ish in a low budget way, of course. And that's something that I really found very interesting uh, and from a very unique perspective, because, like I said, it's drawn from the Blade Runner perspective, but it is done in such a very unique way. And I can't really describe it without giving too much away. So,
I know these are the challenges. Michael, can you talk about movies without talking about them at all? Just give the titles and
I
we
know
should go.
that's the thing.
And
I
we should go see
hate
them.
that part of it. But one I can talk about because people are familiar with the story is Fanga, which is an Icelandic film. It's in English, but it's Icelandic still. And that's having its world premiere. Also, it's a retelling of the Beauty and the Beast story.
Okay.
Which I think it's very unique because it's done in such a way that it becomes a horror movie, and it's not your fairy tale movie. It's more of a horror movie.
Okay.
And so I really like that a lot from that side of things. The other film is a Spanish film called Visitor, which is a sci-fi film. And it's about somebody who is trying to find what happened with her past. But she enters a new realm, a dimension where she finds out that she is not who she thinks she is.
Okay, this sounds interesting. So
yeah, so I'm trying to like do it without giving too much away.
No, I'm not going to force you anymore. So last year you were still able to do kind of Maverick Awards, so forth, because Eddie Izzard was there, Sam Neill. I know it was virtual, but
Yeah.
and I think I remember Eddie Izzard when she accepted her award last year was like, oh, can I come and accept it in person? And of course, we're not quite there yet, but might she be coming in August?
We don't know yet. I mean, because August is still months and months away. So
we have a question. We have a question from the audience. Ry Levy asks, "Is it true that you're planning on doing film introductions this year online in a Tito's thong and a Carmen Miranda hat, asking for desperately lonely people?" I had to share it. I don't feel good about myself sharing that one, but no, Ry, it's not true. Is it? Is it, Michael?
No.
I didn't think so. No.
Derek is going to do it.
Derek doesn't have time. You guys, yeah. So
Derek will be in a thong the entire time.
Oh dear heavens! I could be now. I'm sorry to anybody watching and anybody listening after the fact. I apologize for that mental image. Nobody should have to go through that. Not even my wife. So Michael, though I was interrupting there. So do you have people for the Maverick Spirit Awards this year that would be new, even virtually in April?
Well, yeah, for April, we definitely have Gemma Arterton, who's going to be there with the film, and also I'm drawing a blank right now. There's another one I received today, and I can't remember it.
But you may not be able to say us yet. Hasn't been publicly announced, because sometimes you
tell
us this stuff and we're not sure.
Gemma has. So
okay, so this is because this is live. I don't want to get you in trouble, but
yeah,
there will be celebrities which spotlights.
There will be, yes.
Join in.
I just realized that I was gonna say one that wasn't actually announced yet.
So good. See, I stopped you, and so that's good. I am curious, because as we were opening up talking about Emily's film, which can be seen across the United States, not globally, but obviously for licensing reasons, looking for distributors, etc. Did you see a big uptick last year, or do you know? Did the online version reach a larger audience than you would have normally had at a Cinequest?
We did. We actually had an audience that was, I'm told that we had viewers from all 50 states as well as 42 countries. who
At
saw
least
the
90
films.
people.
What's that?
So at least 90 people.
Yeah, at least 90 people. Yeah. So, but
The engineer can
I
do the math. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
92.
no. So at least that many. Um, but I know that films did very well last year. We actually had a lot of distributors pick up films from last year from the virtual side. HBO picked up 2 films we premiered.
Wow.
Which ones were?
Yeah.
Can you say, or have they made
I
their
can because they've been released already. One was This Is Not a War Story, and the other one was
I
and
watched
the other
that
one
because you
was,
told me that was really good.
yeah, and the other one was Women Are Losers. Or no, Women is Losers or something like that. I don't remember.
I saw that. I was browsing today. I saw that movie.
Okay.
I didn't watch
Yeah.
it.
And so HBO picked up both of those after we premiered them. So
I got to say, This Is Not a War Story. You recommended that to me in December, and I started that, and you didn't tell me what it was. You just said you should watch this, and I think I was at least 30 minutes in before I could convince myself that it wasn't a documentary.
I know.
Was shot so well. It was so natural. It was really good. What a powerful story. So as we say every year, not just because you can see it on HBO. It's not TV. It's HBO Max, or now it's going to be HBO Max Discovery Plus something. But these are just great films, and the only thing that it makes me sad that it's not in person in April is I think I'd watch a wider variety if I'm just going down into downtown San Jose and like, what's playing at these spots. No, because we've done that. We
No,
walked
it's funny. I feel the same way. I mean,
I appreciate that I get a curated link, a curated Excel spreadsheet, and try to catch up so that I can review some and so forth. But I think that that I stumble into some things that I wouldn't ordinarily. Virtually, it's a little harder.
I agree with that. And that is missing from the in person, but at the same time, it's like you can still see a bunch of stuff. Like
yeah, oh yeah,
you could see a greater volume virtually than you can in person, and so that's the thing. It's like a lot of times in person, you miss out on things because you are enjoying a conversation in the lounge,
often, yes.
or I'm doing a shot with you. Who whatever you want to say. So you're all.
It has been known to happen. It has been.
You're all. I know. I don't do that.
No, there have been many. No, you hang out at the Continental and connect with filmmakers.
I get that. So there's the in person has the people who want to hang out and party and do their thing in the lounge and talk to people and stuff, and the people who want to see films, and they have that option. Online, it's of course you mostly are focused on seeing the content, seeing what we programmed, and there's virtual lounges and virtual networking events, but it's a little bit more sparse than the.
It's not quite the same. Yeah. Do you think, and this is just speculation because you may not have the insight into this, is that with the success of being able to be a little more globally accessible as a virtual, will it in the future, should we be able to return to a full normalcy when they talk about it being an endemic, and it's not to dwell on it, but it has changed the way we approach these things. Do you think it will be a hybrid in the future, like 2023? There will be some virtual access. Asking for a friend who finds it harder to get to San Jose now.
Yeah, I do think that we will definitely have a hybrid event in the future. I do not think that either one replaces the other. No. But I do feel like there will be hybrids for most events. I don't think just Cinequest. I think for most events, because we have now seen how successful it could be. And a lot of people feel like they don't necessarily want to travel during these times. We're talking about the pandemic, endemic, as well as war. We're talking about so many different things that are going on right now that make it less enticing to travel.
So, which of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse are getting the Maverick Spirit Award this year? We've
Oh,
had plague, we've had war or pestilence. So there,
I don't
don't think
remember
about it.
what
Don't
what
think
are the
about
other
it.
what's the other horseman? Which ones?
Marketing,
Famine,
famine,
famine.
and marketing. That's
Famine and marketing. Then I will say marketing.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna market the hell out of it.
Well,
Um,
and I promoted this by saying online by saying, this USA Today's Best Film Festival in America. Did they ever run that contest again? Do I get to say it fairly?
they
I think it's the
might have
best.
once or twice, but once we get the title, we don't even
You
track
keep
it
it.
anymore.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and it is true. Regardless, I think the eclecticism, and certainly I've ventured out to a couple of screenings here and there at other. I've seen other film festivals. I'm sorry,
What?
but yeah, I know. I'm glad that your face was frozen for that scream. That was great. Uh, but I do think it is the best of the certainly of the ones I've attended, and I know that right now South by Southwest is getting a lot of attention, and I want to call
I've
out
never heard
that
of them. I've never heard
no,
of South by
I know, I
Southwest.
understand it's because you follow Google Maps now. You don't need to know if you're going South
You
by
know,
Southwest.
South by what?
It's actually a little south by east of here.
Yes, but some of your
Is that a
filmmakers,
Hitchcock movie, right? Hitchcock
yes,
movie.
yes, it was the sequel. So
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
that
Good.
that some of your filmmakers are in it this year.
No,
You
no,
know.
no. We don't know that festival is what I'm telling you.
Oh,
I've
I
never heard of it.
understand. Well, then I'm telling you, I'm aware of this festival. Just to say again, to go to Cinequest because that's where you see these filmmakers really cutting their chops. I mean, Emily certainly has been in 3 or 4 films through Cinequest. 5. I mean, but this is the first one I think she's written and directed.
Three. She was in House of Pine Street, Snapshot, and this is her directorial debut with
Yeah.
acting too. So,
But so I was going to say, Bill Posley, who was in We Know Where
yeah.
You Live and co-wrote that as a short 3 years ago. His film Bitch Ass is a midnight movie at at South by Southwest. So
And Colin West, who did Survival Skills, has a film at South by
yes,
this
I
year
know.
too.
I was talking to Colin and saying, please, can I get a screener of this because I am not traveling to. I'm not even sure where
Yeah,
Austin. That's
yeah.
where it is. So yeah, and Colin's had 2 films at Cinequest. He had a short as
Three,
well. 3. Okay,
three,
yeah, I missed one. Dang it. So
three.
I'm just saying you see so much talent really taking risks at Cinequest, and I give kudos to you even as much as we give you crap that because we're friends, but kudos to the taste that you apply when programming because it really is a wide range. The one film I'm probably looking forward to most in this, and you're gonna give me crap about this, is of course that the Shakespeare sisters have returned with Much Ado, and which I think was just in a festival in England. So if it's in England,
Paris,
you
Paris.
Paris. It was Paris. So you can acknowledge it if it was Paris, right? You know that
I can't.
festival.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So
No. We still have the U.S. premiere, so it's okay.
so the Shakespeare sisters are actually tackling Shakespeare, and so they had what was the film last year? It was beautiful. It was a great little coming of age comedy.
Oh, oh my God, 16. Oh God, I'm
Something
drawing a
about
blank on the
playlist
title.
song playlist at 16 or something. We're terrible. I will look it up and I will make sure that we have it there. But their adaptation of Much Ado
You
About
get
Nothing.
done over. Go.
Yeah, Rick can do that. So he's a genius at this sort of stuff. I can also edit it back, over the video. Thank you. Oh, our Rye
Soundtrack to
Levy
16. Soundtrack to
soundtrack
16.
to 16. I want to acknowledge that it was publicist Rye Levy who was their publicist and is now not going to speak to us ever again after having told us what the film was. But I did love that film, and so Much Ado. And I'm saying he was going to tease me because he asked me months ago, "Would you watch this and tell me if it's any good?" And I just didn't have time. But I said, "It's
And since
Shakespeare."
since Ryan's watching, we should talk about his film that he's promoting this year called Sama's Home.
Okay, let's talk about it then. Sama's Home.
It's in the main competition, and Sama's Home is actually a film that we've never shown a film from this country before, which is from Jordan.
Oh,
and it's a really incredible drama about basically a woman who loses her husband. He dies, and her inheritance is divided up between her and one other woman, and they have to come to terms with how the inheritance has been split up. So it's a really interesting film. It's a dramatic film, but has some very uplifting comedic moments at the same time as being this really powerful, beautiful, evocative film that's directed by Hanani, who is this incredible director I met last week in person because she was doing a job interview in the Bay Area. And so we had lunch together. And so
he's given the, I wrote the thing in there. Salma's Home is lovely and exciting first feature from Jordan, a contemporary look at Arabic women. Thank you, Ryan. And so, yes, he's doing his job as a publicist. I didn't know he was going to join us, but it's awesome.
And it's great because directed by Fantastic Few. There he is, Hanani.
Yeah, look, I should have invited him. I didn't know he'd pay attention to this, so that's great.
No one knows who pays attention to us, Derek.
I know exactly, and yet we still talk. So, I think this is great. I've been running Cinequest.org. You can check out the site. It'll take you to the other, and there's workshops online too, right? So there are some classes being offered, or I guess I should say it's more like workshops, right? It's like writers focus and that kind of thing. So people can find all that at Cinequest.org. I do want to talk about what you wanted to talk about, Michael, which is when I said, can you join this? And you said that I had to promise that we would talk about Back to the Future, the musical. He sent me a trailer. I really was asking me, why does this exist? I didn't know it existed
until like 2 days ago. So
yeah, it was delayed because of the pandemic. It was supposed to open, I think it was April of 2020, and so then it had to be delayed a year. And that's all I can say about it. I haven't seen it. It's only in the West End. I think that's the great thing. You take this quintessentially American 80s film and make sure that the stage musical starring Americans opens in London. So
believe me, I was like, really? but at the same time, like, I get it. That's fine. but I saw that trailer I sent you. And I started laughing because I'm like, really? Are we doing this? Really?
Look, they did a Beetlejuice the musical, and it was really good. So yeah. So everything will become a musical, Michael.
Who would have thought Cats would have been?
And I'm saying this as a person who's going to go see that.
Cats was.
I'm saying this as somebody who's going to go see The Cursed Child in May. So.
I will want to talk with you about that because I've seen the 2-part version, and America now has the condensed one. Which when I saw the 2-part version, I felt like it should have been condensed, cut an hour out, and make it into one longish play. And so it apparently is. It's also one that is screaming to be a musical, but is not.
Yeah,
they have dance breaks instead.
I believe I told you that our mutual London friend invited me to the 2-parter, but I couldn't do it when I was there. So I had tickets to go see the 2-parter 2 years ago in 2020, but it got delayed, and now it's a 1-parter. And so I got my money back for the 2-parter. It was like a whole fiasco. But basically...
Here's one we can have a link to, by the way. Ryan has just added SpongeBob SquarePants was better than Beetlejuice, which I would agree. which I would agree. and it is available on Prime Video. They did shoot it in London before everything shut down, so I actually had tickets to see the national tour that was then canceled because of the pandemic, and so I bought it on Prime Video, and it was very fun. David Bowie wrote a song
I've
for
seen
it.
them both, and I like Beetlejuice better.
I like Beetlejuice quite a bit. I enjoyed that one. So, and I'm looking forward to Back to the Future. I'm looking forward to your opinion on Cursed Child, because actually our mutual London friend is. I had my one and only pint in a pub with her on the trip that I went to see Cursed Child in London.
Interestingly, I met her in a pub there when I was there too. So.
That is not surprising. Interesting, yes. Surprising, no.
But he also worked on the play version of the one that came out film wise with the something about Jamie. So
yes, so that is a musical as well. Yeah.
Which I haven't seen either version. I haven't seen the play or the musical. So or the
musical. The film is pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that. Yeah. So
you've been busy watching like 350 other films to program. I mean,
okay. You say 350. I actually watched 728.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah.
728 for submissions. And that was not even all the feature submissions. That was only because the ones I had to see myself. There were like another 200 that I didn't see because somebody else saw them, kind of thing.
Do you get more each year? I mean, as more, because I'm thinking
we actually increased this year. I don't know what it's going to be like this next year because there's a cycle of post-production and all that stuff. So I have no idea if it's going to be different, where there's going to be fewer because the post-production is kind of catching up where there was delays. I have no idea, but I saw more this year than I did last year. Last year I saw 680 something. This year I saw 728 myself from May through early January. So yeah, I see a lot, and that's not including the shorts I picked up this year because Chris had a few people. He was he didn't have as many people this year, so I watched like 250 short films too. So
wow. Yeah.
Do you give yourself a day off or 2 days off a week, or how many days?
I had Thanksgiving and Christmas off, I think.
Otherwise, you're always watching films every day.
Well, until January 11th. I think the last film I watched was January of submissions, January 11th. Of course, I've watched other things since then.
Yeah. I always keep an eye out for that post that says, I'm done. And then.
Yeah, no, believe me, when I'm done, people know I'm done. I'm like, I can't watch anymore.
I know. But so, since you are guesting and we have long ago exposed you as one of us, what comic book are you most into right now?
I am actually into the one you recommended, which is Crossover.
Crossover. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so good. And I didn't know Donny Cates until this. I really didn't read. You know me. I haven't read comics for a while. You know me.
Not regularly.
And
right,
I only signed up for Comixology in the last couple months. So I have not seen a lot of stuff except for here and there. Saga Brian K. Vaughan is like one of my favorite writers. But I didn't know about Donny Cates until you started talking about him and telling me about him. And then Crossover, I'm just like, wow, he's so good.
He's done runs on Thor and Silver Surfer too.
Yeah, he's on Hulk right now.
I lost track of the DC and Marvel universes because I collected in my teens through my college years, but then I dropped off. And then I got into them and trying to figure out what's going on in the last 10 years, but still I couldn't really fund it to get back into it. But
they
now
don't pay you the big bucks as a program director for a nonprofit film festival.
I work nonprofit, yeah. I have kids. I have a house. I have all kinds of things that I have to deal with. So I can't just go out and frivolously buy things. But I can invest in what is it, $7 a month to do the digital side of things now.
Yeah.
And so now I'm invested back again, and I will read it as I can. But yeah, that's the one. Crossover is my new one right now. Even though Saga I've read in the last few years, and I kind of want to look into more. Oh no, Paper Girls. So
yeah,
Vaughn,
Brian came
basically. Yeah,
but since we've
Girls,
got,
I'm excited that Paper Girls is going to be made into a series. So
yes,
we've done all this talking about crossover, and we've got a guest reviewer on. Michael, could you, for the people who don't know crossover, could you explain what crossover is as a book?
Well, I've only read the first 4 issues, and
that's enough.
Crossover is I want to call it satire. It is a satire on comic books in general, but it also is a crossover of reality with the comic book heroes that we have grown to know cross over into our reality in that world, in the comic book world. So it's very strange how to describe it. But there's a world within a world within a world that DC and Marvel universes and image verses have crossed over into reality in the comic book world. And I'm losing my voice here.
But no, that was a very good. That was a very good description.
Off the cuff, I surprised you. So
yes, and it's the crossover comic for people that are exhausted by crossovers. Because I'll be honest, I was reading through a DC book, and in the back was for a thing for a Wonder Woman event, an house ad, and I was like, why must Wonder Woman have an event where there's like 5 different titles? I'm all for there being 5 different titles featuring the Amazons right now. It's about time, but it's like, do I need to keep getting into an event? I picked up a book yesterday where I was like, it's only a 2-issue miniseries, I'm fine. And then I actually saw the house ad and I went, and then you have to read these other books in between the first and second issue, and I'm like, no. So
I've noticed that when they release movies, they release 5 books going with the movies.
Yeah,
that's fair. Let's remember that those movies are trying to be.
Let's be honest. Eternals weren't a thing until Eternals movies was announced.
I'm going to be honest. They're still not a thing. Marvel wants them to be, but there are some very very good ones.
I like the movie, so I did like the movie. I liked Eternals the movie.
That is fair.
Yeah. And so I won't argue with you here, but I do like the movie.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. That's
and I will say that Chloe Zhao's student film showed at Cinequest.
So blame Michael.
She was involved with Cinequest from her early years. And I'm giving a shout out to Nathan Zanon, who's our programming director for the student shorts. And he programmed her student short film and brought her into the world. So I think we actually had the world premiere of her student short film, and now she's directing Marvel movies.
Yeah. Well, that's not the first, because the directors of Captain Marvel had a film at Cinequest first.
They did, right? Yeah, they did. Ryan and Anna.
Sure, you can back away. It's all right.
I'm going to say Ryan and Anna.
I'm going to put, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. As we just said, like you've watched now 1,500 films this year. I'm just going to make the number even higher every time I say it. And, so it's hard to remember all those things.
7,000 movies this year.
Yes. And you also, another one too, because you mentioned to me today, it sounds to me like this person had been an actor at Cinequest or in a Cinequest film before. who is in the cast of Ms. Marvel, right?
Yeah. She actually she wasn't in a Cinequest movie, but people who were in Miss Marvel were in a Cinequest movie, which is called Miss India America, which was 2015 or 16.
Okay.
But they are in the Miss Marvel series. But the person I was telling you about was not in a Cinequest movie. She
Okay.
she auditioned for it, but she didn't get the role. So
Oh, okay. So I mean, but there's still, there's wheels within wheels, and if you want to be tied to the Marvel universe, you want to know what's going to happen to the Marvel universe, people. Watch Cinequest. See films at Cinequest, and you will see tomorrow's. I mean, because there's another one too. Ursula Taharian, who had a short film called The Brown List 2 or 3 years ago, is actually a voice actor in The Boys Presents Diabolical. So
yeah.
she's part of that. And again, it's I owe you honestly so much for these connections, for meeting these really cool people, and knowing that they're. I just love seeing them take off with their careers, and she's also the staff writer on a sitcom that I'm blanking on the name for, but
yeah, no, she and I
you
talked
know what I'm
about
talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
but
she and I talked
the
about it
point
too.
the point is, again, that talent's there. The Brown List, which I think has not been blocked. I had a Vimeo link in Fanboy Planet. You can check it out there. It's a great short comedy, and you saw that, knew she was talented. We had that horror film Pie, short film with from Adria Tenner, who was back in a film last year, and I'm sure will be in one again in the future. And so it's just really
And I
great.
tried to get Jessica on this, so I did text her, but she never responded because it's Jessica. Whatever.
I just would, whatever. So anyway, really great that you come in once again, cinequest.org, and we will speak again. For those who may know, the legend of us being part of the Pie Club, we have not been able to meet and eat pie in person. I mean, and that's
We've
really
had
what
some
it is.
virtual pie clubs.
We've had one. We haven't even had a virtual Pie Club in quite a while. So
Quite a while, yeah.
But we
yeah,
have had
so
two. We have had two
Yeah.
virtual
yes.
pub clubs.
We've had, but that back when we thought this will only be 6 months, and then we'll all
6
get
weeks.
together.
6 weeks is what we
weeks.
thought.
It was going to be done by spring break.
Facebook
The
reminded
president said so.
Facebook reminded me that it was 2 years ago. I think Saturday was the last time we
Yeah.
all met in person. And
No, actually, 3 years ago yesterday.
has it been 3 years?
Because it was a March 14th,
Wow.
2020, where we broke. Oh no, 2 years ago. So
2 years ago.
2 years
Math
ago.
is not our
Yeah,
strong suit.
I can't do my math. March 14th was our last day 2 years ago.
We met in the
That was
Cinequest
the
offices.
party at the old Cinequest offices.
Right. And we thought, yeah, this is, Cinequest was shut down halfway through. And yet we have all still found a way to enjoy, for films to be made and to enjoy films and maybe catch up on some we should have watched years before. So there you go. Thank you so much for joining us.
I finished the entire series of The Expanse in the last year. So,
of the
good
what?
for you.
Of the Expanse. Excellent. All right.
I love the show. So
That show's great.
And people listening.
Speaking of Cinequest and ties to that, one of the actors in that had a premiere Cinequest like 5 years ago. So,
Which one?
Anna Hopkins. She was in a film we showed. Oh God, 4 or 5 years ago, and then she was a screenwriter competition person who I don't remember if she won the screenwriting award because I don't do that side of things very much, but she was involved with it's all about Charlie, or it's something about Charlie that we showed, and so Anna Hopkins was here 2 or 3 times now at Cinequest, and she was in The Expanse. She was the reporter in the Expanse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So people listening to this after the fact, of course, you can find we had our interview with James S.A. Corey quote unquote, the creators of The Expanse from Baycon a few years ago. So you can just enter that in the search box on Fanboy Planet, and you can find that interview. That was a fun one. That was a really good one.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a great one.
and the best part is that I texted Anna when I was watching The Expanse and saw her come on screen. She texted me back saying, "Who's this? I have a new phone." So, I wanted to make sure that she knows that if she watches this. So
Okay, yeah. No, I did that. I forgot to mention, Bill Posley in South by Southwest also is a staff writer for a producer for Keenan, the sitcom this year, and was story editor on Cobra Kai, which of course is the hottest show on all of television. So I shall say again for the third time, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. And you may go.
Oh wait, I have one more thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, you and everybody else. So, so once again, for people that have joined us live, and Ryan particularly, who, my God, there are a lot of comments from Ryan. This is the most interactivity I've ever seen on an actual podcast. Although I do have to shout out, Troy Benson commented a lot last week, but it was after the podcast was over and he was watching and commenting live. So
yes, my hero, Troy.
Which I forgot that you could do that. That's awesome. So anyway, thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching live and after the fact. And again, if one of the books we talked about crossover, we'll have a link on the page. If you can't find the trade paperback at your local brick and mortar store, and to be honest, with a lot of these, it is getting hard because there's still a paper shortage. There's still a big issue with that of publishers being able to get them out to shops. And, we will have an Amazon link on the podcast page. So thank you very much.
And you can get it digitally.
That's always a way. Some of us just like to have, still have it in our hands. And I get that either way. So digital is great as well. And I'm not going to share what Ryan just posted. We can just laugh at it. And,
I can't see it, which is good.
Oh, okay. That's it. I'll tell you after. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. I'm Derek McCaw, editor-in-chief of fanboyplanet.com.
Michael, that's you.
Oh, okay. I'm Michael Rabehl, Cinequest.
And I'm Rick Brett Snyder, reminding you to use your powers
For good.
That's the way to do it.